Hey, what's up, readers? We are back for another episode of DRABS, Dad Reads a Bedtime Story. For those of you that joined us the past few nights, we were reading Encyclopedia Brown, everyone's favorite boy detective. Encyclopedia Brown gets his man. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right back into it. In this one, we are up to the case of the whistling ghost. Fabius Manning crawled slowly into the Brown Detective Agency. Encyclopedia was in no way startled to see Fabius so close to the ground. During the summer, Fabius usually went on about his hands and knees. Fabius studied bugs of all kinds. Nobody in Idaville knew more about the hidden desires of bee or beetle than Fabius. The encyclopedia watched Fabius peering through a magnifying glass till the excitement grew unbearable. What is it? Encyclopedia asked. A colon opener? Wrong, whispered Fabius, sneaking forward an inch. A dendrolian obsoletius? Wrong again, whispered Fabius. A common stink bug. Oops, you scared him off. Sorry about that, said Encyclopedia. Fabius arose sadly, but upon looking around and discovering where he was, he cheered up at once. Encyclopedia. Boy, I'm glad that bug led me here. He put 25 cents on the gasoline can. I've been meaning to hire you. No case is too small, said Encyclopedia, hoping Fabius didn't take him at his word. Fabius might want a horsefly brought to justice. What's the problem? Somebody stole my camera, said Fabius. I think the thief was a ghost. Encyclopedia swallowed hard. A ghost? Where? In the old deserted Morgan house, said Fabius. Encyclopedia recovered himself quickly. I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in facts. The facts, announced Fabius. Yesterday I went into the old house to hunt interesting bugs. I was about to photograph a spider when this ghost came down the stairway. You got the shakes and ran out of the house, leaving the camera behind, said Encyclopedia. Right, said Fabius. I raced out the front door so fast my own mother wouldn't have known me from a flying tank. An hour later I went back for my camera. It was gone. Did you notice anything special about the ghost? It was white as a sheet, said Fabius, and it was making scary noises and whistling at the same time. It might have been a dog trainer in life, suggested Encyclopedia. Let's go to the old Morgan house and look around. Fabius got his bike and the two boys rode to the haunted house. On the way, they passed the home of Rocky Graham, one of Bugs Meany's tigers. 2 blocks farther on was the old Morgan place. The big house had not been lived in for 50 years. It was a rotting wood building looking for a place to fall down. The boys leaned their bike against a pine tree. They walked through the hip-high grass and weeds, up onto the creaky front porch and into the entrance hall. I left my camera at the foot of the stairs while I explored, said Fabius. When I came back for it, there was the ghost, wailing and whistling. He led the way into the kitchen. I wanted to photograph that, he said, pointing to the back door. Encyclopedia gasped in admiration. Across the lower half of the door, a spider had spun a beautiful wheel-shaped web. The best example I ever saw of the work of Theridiosoma radiosa, otherwise called a ray spider, said Fabius in a glow. While Fabius adored the spider web, Encyclopedia returned to the entrance hall. He found footprints in the heavy dust on the staircase. Ghosts don't wear shoes, he thought out loud, at least not in the summer. How's that? Called Fabius. Did you find a clue? Your ghost left footprints, said Encyclopedia as Fabius hurried from the kitchen. I think I know who it was. You're smarter than the FBI, exclaimed Fabius. Who was it? A boy who saw you come here with your camera yesterday, said Encyclopedia. Rocky Graham. Oh, a lot of people could have seen me going to the house yesterday, said Fabius, disappointed. Why Rocky Graham? Because he lives close to this old house, because he's a member of the Tigers, and because he knocked out 2 front teeth a few days ago trying to break into a parked car. I heard that his screwdriver slipped and hit him in the mouth, said Fabius. But what have 2 missing front teeth got to do with it? Without his front teeth, explained Encyclopedia, whenever Rocky says the letter S, he whistles. The ape, bellowed Fabius, hopping up and down in anger. That rat in a bedsheet. Take it easy, said Encyclopedia. We haven't any proof yet. I want to hear what Rocky has to say for himself. When the two boys arrived at the Graham house, Rocky was sitting down on the ground, groaning. He had just aimed a kick at a cat and missed, twisting his ankle. You dressed up in a sheet and scared me in the old Morgan house yesterday, said Fabius. Then you stole his camera, said Encyclopedia. I'll bet a lot of people saw you go up to the front porch, so don't deny it. Rocky's face showed how hard he was struggling to get a fast alibi. Sure, he said, whistling a little. Sure, I saw you go inside. Another kid carrying a sheet went in just behind you. Pretty soon you came sailing out. I went inside to find out what was the matter. In the entrance hall, I saw this other kid pick up a camera. When he spotted me, he ran out the back door and into the woods. That's a good story, said Encyclopedia. Good enough to prove you were the thief. All right, so let's find out why, or how did Encyclopedia know that Rocky Graham was the thief? All right, so the solution is Rocky actually made up the other boy. The other boy could not have run out the back of the door and into the woods with the stolen camera, as Rocky claimed. Remember the spider web which Fabius wanted to photograph? It was spun across the lower half of the back door. Had the other boy really run out the back door, he would have broken the web. Oh, wow, that was a good one. All right, I think we've got time for just one more tonight. Sticking with Encyclopedia Brown gets his man. Let's go ahead and jump into the case of the explorer monkey. You haven't touched your breakfast, dear, said Miss Brown. Is something wrong? I'm not hungry, replied Chief Brown. I'm worried. About a case? Asked Encyclopedia. Chief Walker of Glen City wants me to help him recover $50,000, said Chief Brown. Wow. Did someone rob a bank, Dad? No, the money belonged to Sir Cameron Whitehead, who died last month. He was the famous Arctic explorer. Arctic, let's see, said Mrs. Brown. That means just the North Pole region and not the South Pole area, doesn't it? Yes, that's right, said Chief Brown. Sir Cameron never went to the South Pole. But he made 11 trips to the North Pole, said Encyclopedia. Sir Cameron retired to Glen City 3 years ago, said Chief Brown. The money was stolen last month while he lay sick and dying. The Glen City police still haven't found a clue. Chief Brown drew a heavy breath. Chief Walker of Glen City thinks I can work a miracle. He expects me to capture the thief presto. Why can't you, ask Miss Brown. You have a helper. Chief Brown grinned. Want to help, Leroy? Go with you? Boy, oh boy, would I, exclaimed Encyclopedia. I'll telephone Sally Kimball and tell her to look after the detective agency for the day. Chief Brown went over the case during the half-hour drive to Glen City. The $50,000 had been stolen from a safe in the library of the explorer's home. The police believed the thief had hidden the money somewhere in or around the house, expecting to come back for it later. The reason for this belief was simple. Anyone could get into Sir Cameron's house, but no one, including the servants, could leave the grounds without being searched by the guards. Sir Cameron liked visitors, said Chief Brown. However, he was afraid that someone might steal part of his famous Arctic collection. Here's the estate just ahead. Encyclopedia saw a large brick house and broad lawns enclosed by a high steel fence. A stream of people was entering by the main gate. Sir Cameron died the day after the theft, said Chief Brown. All of his belongings, his house, his furniture, and his Arctic collection are being auctioned today. Does Chief Walker think the thief will try to slip the money out in the crowd? Asked the Encyclopedia. Yes, and there aren't enough policemen in the state to watch everyone here today. As his father parked the car, a big man waved. That's Chief Walker. I'll be with him till the sale starts at 10 o'clock, said Chief Brown. Suppose we meet at the front door at 10 minutes to 10? Encyclopedia nodded and glanced at his watch. It was 9 o'clock. They gave him 50 minutes to find the $50,000. The boy detective considered the thief's problem. He could get into the house, but he could not get out of it without being searched by the guards. So, after breaking open the safe, where would he hide the money? Burying it in the ground would take too long, and someone was sure to see him. Then there was the risk of coming back later to dig up the money. The money has to be hidden where no one would think of looking, decided Encyclopedia. He wandered from room to room. Men and women were examining every stick of furniture. Drawers were pulled out. Cabinet doors were open. Wives argued with husbands about how much to bid for a chair, a table, or desk when the sale began. Nobody screamed. Nobody fainted. Nobody opened a drawer or door and discovered $50,000. Encyclopedia edged up to a piano. Quickly, he lifted the lid. It was only more piano. He searched on. At 9:30, he reached a long room. This was Sir Cameron's private museum. A sign above the door read, Objects and Animals from Sir Cameron Whitehead's 50 Years of Exploration in the Lands of the Far North. In the center of the long room was a lifelike polar bear, stood reared upon his hind legs. 8 little penguins formed a ring at the bear's feet. More stuffed animals lined one wall. There were a wolverine, an Arctic fox, a caribou, a walrus, and other animals from the North Pole. The wall opposite the stuffed animals was hung with articles of Eskimo life, clothing, tools, weapons, and a sled made of driftwood with ivory-tipped runners. The other 2 walls of the museum were covered with photographs. Most of them showed Sir Cameron bundled up against snow and ice. It was 10 minutes before 10 o'clock. Encyclopedia hurried to meet his father at the front door. When Chief Brown arrived, he was frowning. I'm afraid it's hopeless, he said. The Glen City police have gone over every inch of the house and grounds. Somehow the thief must have got past Sir Cameron's guards with the money. No, the money is still here, Dad, said Encyclopedia. I think this is what happened. The thief waited till the other visitors came to see the dying Sir Cameron. The thief went into the house with them bearing gifts. While the other visitors were in Sir Cameron's bedroom, the thief waited in the living room, went on Encyclopedia. Once alone, he broke open the safe, stole the money, and hid it in the what? What do you guys think the thief, where do you guys think the thief hid Sir Cameron's money? Let's take a look and find out. The thief brought 8 gifts, the penguins. These he stuffed with the money and placed in the museum. He came back to the house on the day of the sale. He bought the penguins. He expected them to be shipped to him, but the police arrested him instead. How had Encyclopedia known where the money was hidden? And the thief made one mistake. In a room filled with objects from Sir Cameron Whitehead's trip to the Arctic, only the 8 penguins didn't belong. Penguins live near the Antarctic, or South Pole, which Sir Cameron Whitehead had never visited, nowhere near the North Pole. All right, excellent. Man, that was a good way to end it. It's been about 10 or 15 minutes. Perfect time amount for a bedtime story. So thank you guys all for joining us again on Dad Reads a Bedtime Story. Tomorrow we'll pick up with The Case of the Coffee Smoker. A little bit more Encyclopedia Brown gets his man. You guys have a great night.